Askreddit Asks, drill instructors, drill sergeants of Reddit, what's the funniest thing you've seen a recruit do that you couldn't laugh at?
Had two guys get in a fight in our bay during basic. Drill sergeant made him hold hands and pretending to be on a date all week. Only time they could let go of each other's hands was rack time. They ended up becoming pretty good friends. Edit, thanks for the gold! Exclamation mark.
USAF. TI. You finished yet? Quote question mark. Trainee done. No, sir, I'm done. TI. Walks away to avoid laughing.
In my basic training class, one was a squad leader, which is essentially just a person who does extra chores. Anyways, for reasons unknown, myself and the other squad leaders were doing push-ups in the drill sergeant's office. Now when you do these push-ups you eventually reach muscle failure, so you just sort of hang out there in the front leaning rest and try to bust out another push-up every few seconds or so. We're all in there dying and the drill sergeant says to one of my buddies, "Private Hudson, tell me what's the difference between basic training and being in prison?" Without missing a beat, Private Hudson says, "Drill sergeant. In prison they get to watch TV." The drill sergeant cracked a little bit of a smile and then told us to get up and get out of there.
Boot camp. MCRD San Diego. Had a kid with glasses. Very young. Did not look like marine material. He kept glancing up at airplanes overhead during drill. D noticed and asked him what he was looking at. Kid replies, "Airplanes, drill instructor." D says, "Those planes are trying to invade. And only you can stop them. I want to hear you war cry at every plane until it leaves this depot." Remainder of Phase 1 of boot camp consisted of this kid screaming at every plane overhead. Hilarity ensued. Edit. Holy shit. My highest rated comment is a story about kid with glasses screaming at planes. I have been apparently redditing all wrong until now. Thanks for the gold and silver and platinum. You awesome bastards. To answer some comments. Yes. Marine recruits call D's sir. Story sounded better the way I wrote it, I thought. Person shrugging male sign yes. The kid in glasses became a Marine. Never saw him again because I went off to SOI West and God knows where he went. We had this kid who kept pissing himself. One day, after the range, he informs RD that he had shit himself right after showers. Squad Bay starts to hold back laughter. D, it's not funny. Awkward silence. DI, okay. It's a little funny. But we aren't laughing. Man never cracked a smile during the whole thing.
Buddy of mine told a story when he was at basic. One guy had said, "Yes ma'am," to the female DS earlier in the day, so when they were all lined up, she was going down the line, asking each person if they called her ma'am earlier. The guy who did was fourth in line. Heard the three previous guys say, "No, drill sergeant," and then said in all seriousness, "No ma'am." Edit. Thanks for my first silver.
I overheard of yes. Petty officer, yes. Petty officer, yes. Petty officer, okie dokie. Petty officer had to make a quick about face and flee before he busted up laughing. It was fantastic.
Early in boot in MCRDSD we were post-shower and at attention for the hygiene inspection. Wearing nothing but skivvies and t-shirts. The guy is walking the line checking fingernails and whatnot when one private's hard-on flops out of his skivvies right as the guy passes him. The guy stops, looks the private in the eye and says, "Private, I don't even like you, much less like you that way. Now put that goddamn thing away before it goes off." Exclamation mark. The private in question turned purple with embarrassment and tries to stuff his boner back in his skivvies, but is getting flustered as the guy starts yelling at him for being an incompetent private and that if he didn't get it stowed in 3 seconds the private would be taking a 10-minute cold shower. Things like, "Do I have to hose you down like an excited chihuahua? Should I call the vet? Good God. Private, is that how you greet your mother at night? Stow your gear. God damn it." Every other private in line was trying not to laugh and the SDI had retreated to his office where we could hear him howling with laughter. Private finally gets his junk stowed and the guy resumes inspection. And you could see he was trying his damnedest not to bust out laughing. No one got much sleep that night, there were too many gigglers in their bunks and too many quiet one-liners. Edit. Should have used recruit, not private. Memory is a hard thing to use right. Also, damn, this blew up. Glad y'all enjoyed it.
What I'm getting from this thread is that military training is like joining a non-consensual improv troupe. Edit. Wow. This comment got a lot more attention than I expected. Thanks for both the silver and the gold. Closing parenthesis exclamation mark.
Not only that, but you get to shoot guns.
Welcome to Basic Training, the show where everything's made up and the punishments don't matter.
Not a drill sergeant, but when I was in basic I saw 3 drill sergeants surrounding a private who was laying down. And they were all screaming, "Go the fuck to sleep right now, private. You take a goddamn nap this very second, you poor tired soul." Not exact words, but you get the gist of it. I still wonder how he got himself into that predicament.
Caught sleeping. Can guarantee. Better than chanting, "Stay awake. Stay alive," for a couple hours.
Insomnia.
Probably yawned visibly when he was supposed to be at attention.
Not many comments here, so I'll add my bit. One recruit left his training guide just lying on his rack. My lead RDC decided this was punishable by making the recruit stand in the middle of our berthing. Hold the training guide in the left hand. Salute it with the right hand. And then bring it in and gently whisper, "I love you, training guide. I'm sorry I left you out. I'll never leave you lying around again." That shit was hilarious. Especially because we were all put at attention while he did it for approximately 45 minutes.
First 5 minutes would have been gold. After that, just boredom.
This is my training guide. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
During FTX, the DS told me to get a trash bag, then go around and collect as many pine cones as I could. For like 3 hours, had a bunch of trash bags. He then took a little walk around, contemplated for a bit, then said that he was mistaken and it looks better with pine cones. He ordered me to redistribute all the pine cones.
One guy had a leaf on his ruck after an FTX and got the company smoke for stealing private property from federal lands. Everyone was laughing a bit. Even the DS.
In Navy boot camp they call forced PT beatings. Everyone knows what a beating is. Navy doesn't have drill instructors, they call them RDCs, recruit division commanders. One day standing in ranks the RDC is going around asking random trivia questions about a test we had to take to make sure we had been studying. He gets to a guy who was eccentric, to say the least. This is about a month and a half into boot camp. RDC asks the question, guys gets it wrong, so RDC yells, "No wrong. Beat yourself." Literally everyone knew this meant start doing push-ups, so the expectation is he will start doing push-ups as the RDC moves to the next guy to ask a question. I was standing across from the guy and he had a confused look on his face. He looked at his own hand for 5 seconds, then hauled off and slapped himself in the face. It made a loud crack sound. He got himself good. I cracked and chuckled, trying to keep composure at attention. The RDC looked to me, then realized why I laughed had to do with the slapping sound. He turned back to self-slapping guy and asked him if he slapped himself. Guy says, "You told me to beat myself." Cue the entire barracks cracking up. It was a single moment during boot camp where the curtain was raised and a moment of unadulterated levity came over everyone. The RDC couldn't stop laughing, so the tough guy asshole persona melted away for a good 60 seconds until he regained composure and made us all do push-ups. The push-ups were an easy price to pay for that moment.
Not me, but I had a great team sergeant who had a floater, wonky eye, that he was blind in from an injury in Iraq. So one eye was dead on and worked fine, but he had this one Uncle Ruckus eye that just did its own thing. He was a very physically imposing man with that classic drill sergeant bass-filled voice, and his crazy eye just added to it, and he knew it. He told a story about his time as a drill sergeant when 2 privates had Saturday down on firewatch and were kinda just being real lackadaisical about their duties when he found them. So he starts just giving him the business classic full metal jacket style. And finally he just ending his rant right before he's about to smoke them for who knows how long when one of the offending privates just says, "Drill Sergeant, are you yelling at us or the water fountain?" It stopped him dead in his rage and he just walked away mid-knife hand.
That could have gone very, very badly. A risky move that paid off.
That dude has some balls, lol.
Never was a drill sergeant. But when I was going through US Army Infantry School, 2004, we were taking showers when one of the drills came in and called us to toe the line. When I got out of the shower I found someone had stolen my PT uniform and towel. So I grabbed my shaving cream and covered my cock in cream. Then walked out to my bunk. The drill came up to me asking what the fuck I thought I was doing. I told him my clothes and towel were gone. So I did the next best thing. He said, "You know what? You're going to do alright in the infantry." Edit. Wow, I only posted this 2 hours ago and already won 896 karma. Thanks I guess. I've got to embarrass myself more often. Edit 2. Thanks for the gold. Dude or dudette. Edit 3. Thanks for the silver. ... Wait. What? ... It doesn't do anything. ... It just shows up on my comment and does nothing. ... What the fuck?
In the academy, one of the DIS had a recruit doing push-ups. He told the kid he was going to do push-ups for 5 minutes straight. Or something like that. As soon as the kid started, another D approached the first D and started arguing that the kid hadn't really fucked up that bad. And he didn't really deserve to be punished. After some back and forth, he agreed that the kid did indeed deserve to be punished. The first D then said loudly that he had not checked his watch so he would have to start the 5 minutes now. At that time another D approached and started asking for mercy on the recruit, who was by now basically just humping the ground sweatily. It went on like that for a while. Good times.
Had two guys laugh when RDC walked in, so he had them stand almost noses touching each other. One would yell, "Want to hear a joke?" and the other would yell, "Ha ha ha," repeatedly for hours. It was hilarious at first, but once their voices started to crackle it got old pretty quick. Edit. Thanks for the silver is my first.
Damn, that is pretty funny.
Story from my wife while she was in BCT. They are eating chow one day early on, maybe first or second day out of reception, and they hear a drill instructor yelling, "Why the fuck are you eating salad with a spoon?" Exclamation mark. Quote question mark. Exclamation mark. Apparently, in reception they had been told not to bother with forks since they had 5 minutes to eat their meals. Dude wanted a salad. He decided, fuck it. I'm eating salad with a spoon. Hilarity ensued. Drill instructors let everyone know that not using forks is a dumb fucking rule, and whoever told them that is fucking stupid.
We had 2 5 feet 1 inch stocky blonde guys named Johnson in our company one cycle. Different platoons. No relation at all, but they looked really similar. One day during grass week a couple J-hats made them face each other and go back and forth screaming, "You're not Johnson." "I'm Johnson." "No. Fuck you. Or not Johnson, I'm Johnson." You have absolutely no clue how hard it was to not break into a million pieces after about 5 minutes of that.
I'm Dirty Dan. Boot Camp Edition.
Johnson and Johnson.
Not a die, but I enjoyed watching this happen. On hikes my DIs loved having conversations using the recruits as messengers. The die at the end of the formation would send a recruit to the front to give the die up there a message and back. They would either have stupid conversations or talk trash using the recruit.
This was something my wrestling coaches did at wrestling camp to make us run more. Eventually they ditched the facade and just made the person in back sprint to the front every time a whistle blew.
The old Indian run.
During basic, the standard for clearing the range was to point your M16A2 rifle up and down range, and the DS would then clear each rifle with a brass rod. Upon completion, each recruit said, "No brass. No ammo, drill sergeant." One soldier fucked up and said, No ass. No gramo. RDS stopped. Saturday down. Laughed. Got up and forced everyone to push until he was done clearing each platoon's rifles. Edit. Thank you for my first silver. This question was great for remembering some great things from years ago. Edit 2 and wow. My first gold. You guys are awesome. Thank you much. Final edit. Thank also for my first platinum and another silver. I hope my memories made you laugh as well.
We weren't allowed to talk during chow at the galley. You had to point at what you wanted another recruit to pass. And they had to silently pass it. One recruit wanted a napkin and pointed. The other recruit asked this. The CC's Coast Guard DS immediately came over, circling him like sharks, screaming at him. They made him put like 10 saltines in his mouth and chew until his mouth was full. Then asked the first recruit if he wanted a napkin again. He barely could get it out, spitting pieces of cracker everywhere. Then they screamed at the first recruit to answer him. But we were all silently cracking up. Sounded like this. Few PH want a napkin? Pieces of saltines flying out, answer him. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Cracking up, almost crying, no, thank you. It was the best.
Not in boot camp but in a school setting in the military. In formation one morning, I heard a slap and a guy killed a fly or a mosquito or something. The instructor started screaming that corpsmen do not kill unless defending themselves. They're Marines or patients. He had just killed an unarmed friendly and will give it a proper burial. So he made us all dig a human-sized grave while the sailor that killed the fly stood there watching with dead fly in hand. We gave it a funeral and everything, without honors, and had to fill in the hole. We kinda hated that guy for a while.
Unarmed friendly, fuck that. If it was a mosquito. It was armed and presumed hostile.
This is a scene from The DI, 1957, with Jack Webb.
An RDC in another division asked the guy if he shaved that morning and the guy claimed he had. The RDC said, "Recruit, you are either a werewolf or you are lying." "So which is it?" The guy responded, "I must be a werewolf." Petty officer, quote dot.
Why is that man howling at the moon? Petty officer. Lying, sir. Carry on. Not a die. When I went through basic they gave everyone a flashlight with a lime green yellow thing on the bright end that you had to have with you in the morning for PT. Well, one individual forgot his when we all lined up in the morning and didn't say anything till we walked over to the PT pad. The TI began to berate him and tell him that he is a dumbass, and run back to the bunks to retrieve the flashlight. Before he leaves the TI yells, "If anyone stops you just tell them you are a dumbass." Well, a TI was across the street and saw him running back to the bunks and saw the trainee all by himself, so he starts laying into him. We could all hear him on the PT pad until the trainee got a chance to respond with, "Sir. Trainee, sir, and so reports as ordered. I am a dumbass." The TI walked away and didn't say anything. Edit. Since this blew up, I have another story about this exact airman. Near the end of basic training, depending on your TI, you might get what is called an amnesty hour. It's everyone who has been in basic with you and your TI basically talking to you like a normal person again. Well, our TI opened the floor for questions, and the first kid to raise his hand was the kid who forgot his Lackland laser. During all of basic when I was there, a rumor was going around that a TI had posed for Playboy. Now, it was a rumor, but no one could go on a computer to Google it cause it's BMT. The airman stood up and asked straight-faced, "Sir, is it true a TI posed for Playboy?" Our TI laughed and confirmed the rumor. Again, "Sir, did you meet this TI?" Our TI responds with, "No. But if I did I would be tapping that without missing a beat." This short skinny kid from Tennessee says, "Thank you for not hitting it, so that the rest of us don't fall in it." I cried laughing.
Oh shit, it's probably too late for this. But I just thought of one. I was a super light sleeper during basic training. One night I woke up for no reason. The sleeping bay was dark except for the light by the desk where the two soldiers on fire guard were supposed to be awake and alert. Both of them were leaning back in the chairs dead asleep. I started to throw my covers off to go wake them up. If a drill sergeant came through and caught the fire guard sleeping, we'd all pay. But then I heard a slow scraping sound to my right. Off in the darkness. I froze. And heard it again. Closer. A few heartbeats later I almost screamed out loud as I saw the sharp intense face of our Samoan drill sergeant in the darkness. His face was covered in full camo. He was low crawling underneath the line of bunk beds towards the fireguard. He had a bayonet in between his teeth. We locked eyes, and he silently raised one finger to his mouth, signaling for silence. I nodded, and sat back to watch the show as the drill sergeant resumed his low crawl under and past my bunk in the direction of the sleeping guards. I have a bunch of stories of funny shit I did to correct soldiers when I later became an NCO. But that image, like something straight out of an 80s war movie, will always stick with me.
I work at basic training ranges, and we had a drill sergeant yell at his soldier while they were getting ready to go down a buddy live fire exercise. The soldier froze and started crying. This 18-year-old kid was just in tears for getting yelled at. The DS yelled at him some more and he finally gave up cause this kid wouldn't stop crying. So he made him scoop tears off his face and put them in his pockets till he filled his pockets up with tears. He did this for like an hour. It was hilarious. Clarify this for me. Are you telling me this young man cried for an hour straight?
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day, you wonderful people.